There's a reason why it took me so long to come back with another video, and that's actually the topic of this video. What I want to deal with is something really serious that a lot of people deal with, probably don't know they deal with. Some do, like myself. I know I deal with it. What I'm talking about is a fear of success. Psychology, they even call it FOS. They didn't give it an acronym. It's a real thing though. Weirdly enough, it's something that I've kind of always dealt with. I've always felt, but at the same time, I didn't think it was real. Didn't make sense, right? A fear of success, right? Why would you fear success, right? Why would you fear having the things you want? Having, joy and happiness, money, whatever success is to each individual. Why would you fear having that, right? It just didn't add up. But at the same time, I still knew it was something I was dealing with. So as you get older, you learn more about yourself, and then we're in this era where we got all these tools, the internet and whatnot, basically a compendium of human knowledge, and you could kind of find a lot of answers, tools, or just insights into what you're going through if you want to know, if you look. So I look, man, to see what people are saying about this fear of success, because truth be told, it's something that's been holding me back way too long. Way too long. So I'm going to talk about it. I'm talking about it for my own healing, and of course, hopefully, it's to help somebody, because I know I ain't the only one. I know that. So let's talk about how the fear of success, or rather, what kind of fears go along with the fear of success. One of the ways it shows up is, you're afraid you'll change. I think about that, right? I don't want to change into the rich, greedy asshole, step on people. I'm so bored that I'm just buying people to get them to do crazy shit. And, I'm just this kind of soulless, empty tyrant, just all about me and my money, and, I done lost touch. It sounds simple to somebody out there listening, like, really? You think about that? Yeah, I think about that. I worry how it will affect me. How will success affect me? Truth be told, it doesn't have to affect you negatively at all, because you're in control of your mind, right? A lot of the people that make that kind of change when they reach success, they were probably already that person. It just brought it out a little more. So I think as long as you can remember that you're in control of you and you make that decision of who and how you want to be, you can get through that. You can get over that. Another one of those fears that shows in the fear of success is something called, it's a real thing, imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is when you actually invest in the belief that you're inadequate, that you're incompetent. You actually invest in this. You just putting your energy into telling yourself that you're inadequate, that you're not good enough. Even though you may have a track record just of achievement after achievement after achievement after achievement, right? Overwhelming evidence that says otherwise, and you still telling yourself you're not good enough. Imposter syndrome. Because you are good enough. That's what makes you an imposter. You have a track record that actually shows that you're good enough, and you still telling yourself you're not good enough. Weirdo stuff, right? Some people have a problem taking criticism. When you have a fear of success, you kind of deal with that, or some people deal with that. Some people deal with, public shame, because when you're successful, right, eyes are going to be on you. It don't matter what kind of success it is. It comes with attention, right? And it was some some interviews with some popular YouTubers, and one of them made a statement that they kind of knew when one of their videos were going to go viral, because they would just start getting this influx of negative comments. just people talking shit, just trolls. You know what I'm talking about. But that kind of let them know, okay, this is touching the nerve. People are viewing on the internet. Controversy is a commodity, so on and so on. But again, some people really fear that broad level of criticism, all of these people scrutinizing you and tearing you down. But again, man, it literally comes with the territory. It literally comes with the territory and choices. I'm one of those people that believe, now that I'm the age that I am now, I look back at my life and I look at how much of the result of it right now is from my own choices. My own choices, mostly. Now, me being disabled, that wasn't my choice. I'm not saying everything, but for the most part, most of my life, most of your life, is the result of your choices. Not talking about, childhood. Since you've been an adult, you have the ability to make choices, and whatever the reason, whatever the understanding you're coming from, you're going to make choices based from that understanding, and the result is going to be the result. And that's just what that is. But you got to learn to take criticism, right? You got to, so people would say, toughen up, you got to have a thick skin, and you do. And you do got to toughen up. It ain't easy, but it is simple. You just walk through it, You just walk through it. But that's something that people deal with when they're dealing with fear of success. Wide scale criticism and people, tearing them down and thinking that maybe somebody will see through them. Because remember, you don't think you're good enough. So you thinking that, these trolls, these critics are somebody that maybe sees through you. Oh shit, you a fake, I see through you because, you know that you believe that the things that have come to you, you just barely achieved them. It's only because you just made it by. You don't want to believe that you're brilliant. You don't want to believe that maybe you're masterful at what you do. You don't want to believe that maybe you have a gift or a special talent that most people don't have. It's tough. Me, black man, coming from South Central LA. I didn't grow up, rich. My environment didn't reflect, what we deem success. I've never known a rich person, quote unquote rich person, probably in my life. I never met anybody that made even close to $100,000 a year until within the last 10 years of my life. So when they say that 1 in like 100 and something black people have businesses, it's that bad, But you got to be able to take your criticism, man. I might have deviated a bit. You got to be able to take your criticism, man, and push through it. But that is something that I know people with fear of success deal with. I deal with it. Can't take criticism, man. Next one would be being uncomfortable in the spotlight. Again, man, if you're going to achieve any level of success, any kind of success, no matter what you're doing, it's going to come with eyes. You know what I'm saying? Eyes is going to be on you. Attention is going to be on you. So you're going to have to get comfortable being uncomfortable in the spotlight. You don't have to like the spotlight. You don't have to be, ultra vain in the spotlight. You know what I'm saying? Just understand that it comes with the territory, man. Just, accept it and realize that it'll be okay. In the end, ultimately, if you're achieving your goal, then ultimately it'll be okay, But that's something that people deal with when they deal with fear of success, being uncomfortable in the spotlight. Another one is something that's interesting because you're going against something that the brain likes to do. The brain likes routine. The brain likes for things to stay the same. It's known that the brain functions optimally when you narrow its focus, when it's focused on as few things as possible. One thing, if possible. Those Buddhist monks who are out there in the Himalayas right now trying to, focus on just the flame of a candle, that one thing, and those the better they get at focus, the more damn near seemingly supernatural things they're able to achieve. You know, sports teams, basketball teams, they hire sometimes people that they hire people to come in and teach them how to control their thought count, narrow their focus, get in the zone. You know what I'm saying? So that's how the brain likes to be. That's the state it likes to be in. But when you're on the way to success, you deal with a lot of change. You deal with constant change because there's constant growth, right? So again, you're going to have to adapt. You're going to have to accept and wrap your mind around change. Things are going to change. People are going to change. Jobs is going to change. Things are going to change fundamentally, and that is scary for a lot of people. Some people, hey man, you don't have a fear of success. Don't look at others that do as lazy or procrastinators, because they're really not. And that's for any of you dealing with it, like myself. I start thinking that I was lazy and a procrastinator when I know I'm a ball of energy. I'm a ball of energy. But I start imposter syndrome. I start telling myself that. Almost start believing. Not really, because I know myself. I'm old enough. I know myself, but I almost start believing that. But fear of change, fear of the change that comes along with success, that's something I deal with too. You got to be in a new environment. You're going to have to move away probably. A lot of change is going to come with that. And that's scary for a lot of people. It's scary for me, but the end result, right? The end result. Another big one for me is, you fear you're going to lose your core support network. We've all been hearing, and we all know the statement that everybody can't go along for the ride. Everybody can't fit in the elevator at the same time. It's hurtful because you want to take everybody, and you fear losing that core network. It could be, I fear having this closed off life to where I'm not around people like my immediate family, my mother, my brother, my sister, my nieces and nephews, my best friend, my homies. And now I'm in this world basically of strangers who, no matter how seemingly nice, they're all there because they want something besides my friendship, my company, or because they like my personality. It's some benefit, some real actual gain, economic and all of that, gain for him. And I think about people like Michael Jackson. Like, Mike seemed like he lived in a prison to me, right? Wasn't around really his family, his brothers that he grew up with, what I'm saying? They wasn't there, the issues with his parents, and it was just bodyguards and road managers and, a business manager, this person you have to trust to actually handle your money, like can actually spend money on your behalf, and the fake friends. And again, some people look at that as not a big deal. It's something that I really dread. It's something that I really think about. Some of the ways it manifests itself, some symptoms to know if you got fear of success. Let's see. Doing half-ass attempts, doing a half-ass job when you know you could do better, but you purposely, you're trying to give yourself the old, well, I'm trying, and other people, you want them to see that. When you can say, well, I'm trying, at least I'm trying, but you're not giving it your all. You're self-sabotage, like half-assing, but that's another symptom, And when you do that, you break down your confidence, you break down your strength, you break down your relationships. Can you see how that manifests? If you sabotaging yourself, that means you don't see your self-worth, and chances are you don't see the worth in others. You don't see the value in others. Sabotage your relationships. Here's a big one, because this is one of the symptoms that if you got, it's kind of one of the hardest to overcome. Disbelief, man. Not believing in yourself. That is a complex fear. Not believing that you are good enough. Not believing in yourself. That's toxic. That's toxic. No good will ever come from that. I don't know what simpler way. I don't even know if we need to delve too deep into that. Not believing in yourself. No good will come from that. And you got to understand how hard that is. Because again, if you don't believe in you, you probably don't really believe in other people. And that just puts you in this place, this environment, this world where nothing seems possible. Sounds like hell, right? How about this symptom that some people have? And this one bugged me out. Being addicted to goals. You know, that could be a form of a symptom of fear of success. You know, some people just have this need, man, obsessively to set and achieve goals. And they keep achieving them, and they keep achieving them, because they fear that not achieving, that's failure. That's not success. So they never stop. They never slow down. Which means they never really get to enjoy the success. You're just always in this go mode. And you find out that fear of sex. Did I say that? That fear of success is manifesting as you're afraid that you'll get lost entirely in what it is that you do. That'll totally be your identity, and you're nothing without it. It's like the person that's addicted to getting degrees in college. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. Just, if you're dealing with any of those symptoms, if you see any of those things I'm talking about, then maybe that's something you deal with and you didn't know it. So let's go into some solutions, man. I've been rambling on for a while. Can't address the issue and not talk about some solutions, because for every problem there is a solution, and that's real. Again, first, let me tell you, if you have fear of success, you are not a procrastinator. You are not lazy. You're just dealing with some fears. You're not a procrastinator. You're not lazy. You're just dealing with some fears. Now let's go into some solutions. I think one of the most obvious ones is change your thinking. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you would just change your thinking? I'm saying that so passionately because I want somebody to feel me on this. Can you imagine what the outcome of your life would be like if you could just change your thinking? Come on. Come on. We all know that the way you feel about yourself, the way you think about yourself, is going to have an outcome. It's going to have an outcome. They're starting to measure brain waves now. And they're starting to see that these waves that's leaving the body, it's a quantifiable thing. Y'all, excuse me. Camera cut off for a second. So, again, back to the topic, man. Previously, I addressed, we talking about fear of success. I'm talked about some of those fears, what they look like. And then I talked about some of the symptoms to tell if maybe you deal with fear of success. And now I want to go into some solutions. Because there is a solution. You need to know that. One thing you need to know if you're dealing with a fear of success is that you're not a procrastinator. You're not lazy. That's in your head. That's the imposter syndrome. That's the self-sabotage. It's something that you've came up with in your mind. You're not a procrastinator. You just have some fears. You're not lazy. You just have some fears. And those fears could be addressed. So let's talk a few solutions to try to deal with Fear of success. To me, the most obvious and probably the most powerful, changing your thinking. I want you to feel me on this. I want you to really feel me on this. How much different would your life be if you change your thinking? Let it marinate for a second. Really think about that. Be honest. Maybe you by yourself. Ain't nobody listening. Ain't nobody looking. Really think. Be honest with yourself. How much of your life would be different for your betterment if you just change your thinking? Just change your thinking. That would literally change everything, right? Everything. So we need to understand the power of the mind. You already know that how you view yourself, what you think of yourself, that's going to manifest. You know, we're in this era where they got developing technology now, and you know, they can measure brain waves, certain waves as they leave the body. Meaning that it's a real thing, they're quantifiable, and something's happening. They don't know what, you know, where it's going, what it's doing, but I take that as your thoughts are entering this realm and they're having some effect. So how you think about yourself, how you think, the output that comes out of your brain about you has an effect. That's very important. Some of you do not think you're worthy. I know that feeling. I deal with it too. Some of you don't think you're good enough, smart enough, or maybe you know you are, but your circumstances, your past trauma, your past experiences just don't tell you that. Oh, but if you could change your thinking, changes everything, right? Everything. You gotta cut negative things out, man. Negative influences. We talked about that. That could be people. I think that's the most obvious thing that comes to mind, right? Negative people. It's not going to do you any good. It's just not. And you may have grown quite attached to these people and they're attached to you. You might have love for them in your heart. But you know deep down that it's a lot of negativity coming from that direction. And if you're going to go in a positive direction and yield positive results, you're going to have to get rid of those negative people. It ain't easy, but it is simple. It ain't easy, but it is simple. Not just people. You got to change it all, man. All of those things that kind of take you away from what you're doing, you know, people that you kick it with that might like to kick it a little too much, or things that you do, smoking weed, drinking, hanging out, those things that cause you to deviate, that cause you to put time here instead of there. Got to get rid of all the negative influences, man. Whatever it is, got to be willing to make that sacrifice. You got to know your patterns. You know what I'm saying? You got to know your patterns and be able to readjust. Know thyself, right? That's where knowledge of self really comes in. So if you deal with things like, say, a fear of success, then when you're trying to put yourself on the right track, you can recognize your patterns. Those patterns, because they're going to come back. What did we talk about? The brain likes routine. The brain likes routine. It does not want things to change. When the brain gets adjusted to routine, a deep-rooted routine, and you try to change it, that's like driving a car, just driving, and then just slamming on the parking brake. You trying to change. That's you slamming on, you know what I'm saying? That's how the brain taking it. Like, wait, whoa, hold up. You trying to change something? Now you know about this time we supposed to be smoking on something. Or drinking on something. Or hanging out and bullshitting. The routine. Nigga, you know the routine. Stick to the routine. So, You got to know your patterns. What's one of my patterns? What's one of my patterns? Real simple. Smoking weed, man. It's one of those patterns that once I start, everything gets slowed down now. Everything gets slowed down. And I know it, but I'm stuck in the pattern. And this is one of my ways of working it out, man. This is one of my ways of working it out, because what I found is another pattern. Know your patterns. What I found is when I'm in my element, when I'm in my mode, when I'm doing something productive or positive or, creative, I realize I don't crave none of that stuff. I'm in the zone. I put myself in the zone. And it's a zone that I really have always liked being in. But again, having a fear of where being in that zone, the places that I know it could take me, I'm in my own way, man. Moving on along, not only do you have to know your patterns and know how to readjust, know thyself, you have to know how to say no more. Take it from an extremely passive individual like myself. Learn to say no more. Learn to say no more. When you in the middle of some work that, nobody else appreciates, maybe you work from home. You know how this is. When you work from home and you're sitting in front of a computer, there's people who actually think you don't do shit. They think you don't do nothing. You just bullshitting around on the computer. They don't know that you're actually running a business or setting up a business. They think you're just bullshitting. So they want to pop up anytime, whenever, and it's a distraction. And you have a hard time saying, no, I don't want to kick it right now. I'm doing something. No, I can't give up my time right now to help you. I got to start putting some time into helping me. Because that's one of them things, man. We want to help everybody, right? Everybody got that. You want to help. And I can tell you something, when you have fear of success, you're kind of using that as a form of self-sabotage too. You purposely putting all this energy into other people and other things, because if you put it into you, you'll fuck around and be successful. Self-sabotage. Moving on. We have to learn to focus on the journey. It's not just about the goal. Take it from me. Just thinking about the goal now, don't even do it for me no more. But I've been in that mode so long, no appreciation for the journey. But when you really think about success, then I would say that real success is about what you learn on the path to success, right? On the journey, right? You can't just be focused on the goal. You gotta, when I was young and doing music, it was a journey and I loved it. I loved the successes. I loved the failures. I loved when we bombed on stage. I loved getting told no on the phone. I loved missing parties in the club and kicking it, with females and, girls, and we wanted to chase and all that because we lived in the studio just making beats and writing songs and doing artwork and all that stuff. I loved it. I loved the entire ride. And that's how I knew that something good was in the cards for me, because I just wanted to go along for the ride. You get older though, you have a family, maybe wife, kids, responsibilities, things like that. And those things come into play, and you kind of at least feel like now you don't have the luxury of just going along for the ride. Back then, if I had to eat noodles for a week or two straight, so I could buy some, I don't know, some stuff to make flyers or some cassettes from Rainbow or CDs or whatever it was, a piece of equipment, some cables or something. That was no sweat. Can't do that when you got a family though, right? Can't do that, So I get how it's hard to focus on the journey, but that's a very important part, When you're not focused on the journey and just the goal, you're gonna turn it into all work. And sometimes, you just don't find no joy in that. Moving along. We got to learn to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Get uncomfortable. We all know what happens when you get comfortable. Comfortability, that's even a word, excuse me, but getting comfortable leads to stagnation, right? Leads to no activity, inactivity, ain't nothing happening, right? It's the reason why you don't want to be in the spotlight. It's the reason why you don't want to change. It's the reason, for a lot of things, because we don't like being uncomfortable, yet we know that in that uncomfortable space, that's where it's popping. That's where shit happens. That's where the magic happens, right? When you're in that uncomfortable space, when you throw yourself out there, that's when the magic happens. You've experienced it. I know I have. To try to even touch on that a little more, let me nerd out on you for a second with a little, get into science and stuff like that. Like chaos theory, chaos magic, chaos engineering, chaos. We seem to think of chaos, instability and all those things. That stuff makes us uncomfortable. It has a negative connotation, right? We think evil, lawlessness and all that, which, the lawlessness part, no rules and all that does apply to chaos. But we got to understand that we, literally, human beings, the world wouldn't be here if not for chaos. Order came out of chaos. Everything was chaotic. If you're into evolution, abiogenesis and all that stuff, and then you know about self-assembly and talking about chemical evolution, these theories where things self-assembled, right? It was chaotic and then it just came together, the Cheerio effect. You ever been boiling something or deep frying something and notice how everything just constantly tries to assemble, like self-assemble, right? Order out of chaos. So we got to understand that chaos can be controlled. Chaos is nothing to fear. Chaos is natural. Order came out of chaos, and it's going to go back probably into chaos, and the cycle will start over again. Again, getting comfortable being uncomfortable, being in chaos, because when you really think this existence we live in right now in our time frame, our experience of human history, where we have, let's say, the weather we have right now. The normal weather, the normal conditions of planet Earth throughout its 4 billion years history is chaos. It's fucking acid rain, storms, and volcanoes erupting, and quakes, and you feel lightning storms. You know what I'm saying? It's chaos. It's for most of Earth's history, that's what it is. That's how it started off, and that's how it's been. This period that human beings have been living in, it's a blip. It's a blip. It's a little cool period. But normally, chaos reigns. These are things that we just gonna have to accept, man. And accept that chaos can be controlled. Controlled chaos. Right? Game theory. We getting there. We're getting to an understanding of these things. We gotta learn to control the chaos. So ultimately, man, I would say that if you're dealing with a fear of success, there's a way out. Again, you're not lazy. You're not a procrastinator. You're not weak. You are good enough. You can win. You do deserve to be happy. You're just dealing with a few fears, like myself. Hopefully doing things like this will help me. Just being honest about it. I mean, I talk about it to a select few, you know, but I'm really getting on myself. I'm really getting into putting forth the brain activation energy, the physical energy. Sometimes you gotta physically do shit to get over or deal with whatever it is you're dealing with. You know, we can think about it only so much. We can pray about it only so much. Faith without works is what? Dead. So this is my attempt at my healing, at me getting over my fear of success, because it's robbed me of so much. It's literally robbed me of joy and happiness and an appreciation for this thing called life. There's so many experiences, there's so many opportunities that you will rob yourself of dealing with this fear. Who knows what awaits you? How about you know what awaits you? Because most people who have a fear of success fear it because they know they are capable of being successful. You know you got it in you. People tell you you got it in you. You probably, like me, you've probably heard it your entire life. Probably heard it your entire life. But again, if you're in disbelief, that's going to be a hard road out, but you can make it out. You can make it out. So I'm going to stop there and leave it there. I'll ramble. I'm going to stop there. I hope this was beneficial to somebody. And I want to send a shout out to a brother. You can find him on Instagram, Candyman Pharaoh, who inspired this video. Because this brother didn't know me from a can of paint, yet he read me like a book. Read me like a book. No malintent. The brother solely had the intent of lifting me up. When asked why, this man's answer is because it's needed. Because men need to talk. You know about toxic masculinity. We've been talking about these things. So thank you, brother. Thank you, brother Pharaoh, for inspiring this video. And thank everybody for listening. Anybody that listened, I hope that you are able to apply something and just deal, man, so we can all get through this. I'm your brother Insight. Check me out on ConsciousTrapHouse.com, Conscious Trap House on all social media. I wish you all success. Peace.